Do we need to pump the brakes, speaking of the ACC?
You got to pump the brakes. The best conference of all time ever.
Well, for this year.
In the history of the world.
Yeah, this year. You name a better one. The Big East, the old Big East. But this year's ACC does feature 9 teams in the NCAA Tournament, the most of any conference. As you can see, it's really not that close. 2 over the Big East and the Big Ten. ACC featured 2 teams in last year's national semifinal with North Carolina and Syracuse, as we recall from a year ago, with Carolina going on to lose in the epic title game against Villanova. So we need to pump the brakes that because of the pedigree and statements like I just made, that arguably this is the best one-year conference we've ever seen, they're under the most pressure.
I think they are. Because of the amount of teams, because we've hyped them up so much all year long as the best conference in the country. And really all year it hasn't even been close. People, experts, I mean, whether it's on our network and on our sister network, Campus Insiders, or, Jordan Cornette or Michael Beller or anyone else you watch out there reading different articles, no one's even really made a case for a second conference to be up against them.
Pac-12 is top heavy, but they don't have.
No one's like, no, I actually think the Big 12 is as good as the ACC. No, I actually think the Pac-12 or the Big East is as good as the ACC. No one's saying it. So when all year across the board, wire to wire, unanimously, everyone's in agreement that this is the best conference featuring the best players and the best coaches with the best teams and the most parity and the most depth, and still with that cream that can match the cream of Pac-12 and UCLA, Arizona, Oregon stuff, the real top dogs. I think the most pressure's on them. I don't really know how you can make it an argument for anyone else. Who would the most pressure be on? Why would it be on the Big 12? Why would it be on the Pac-12?
Maybe the Pac-12 a little bit, because when you look at Arizona, before Oregon had the injury to Chris Boucher, I would have liked Oregon as a maybe the best team to come out of there, right? But because they do have Arizona and UCLA and Oregon at a time where they're all looking like they could all be 1s or 2s, they're really top-heavy. SC got in that large. But you're right, the depth,
I mean, be honest.
It's not even close.
Part of the reason of them all being 1s and 2s is because there's a bracket with the label West on it. You got to put someone out there. Yeah. I'm not saying they don't deserve, but I don't think we looked at Arizona, Oregon, and UCLA as that much better than Carolina, Notre Dame, Duke, Louisville. They're all sort of right there, and there's more of those caliber top-tier teams, the upper echelon teams in the ACC. So I just think they got to show out. Like, if the ACC goes out in the first weekend, and by the time we start Sweet 16 play and the ACC has 2 teams left,
they're going to go, how overrated.
The big story of the tournament is going to be how underwhelming the ACC performed.
That's right.
That's what it's going to be. If, especially now with Chris Boucher,
7-2,
then that's going to be the story.
Right. They'll be, wow, look how good the ACC.
Told you.
Told you Syracuse should have been in.
I think the Big East is an interesting conference, just because I don't think a lot of people watch the Big East.
No,
if you don't root for Butler, if you don't root for Villanova or Xavier or Creighton, I just don't think you watch that much Big East basketball. And I think people look at the Big East as a second-class conference, and it's not, especially when you consider the fact that they have the number 1 overall seed in Villanova and the reigning champs. And I think some of these other teams are going to be very interesting. I think it could go all one way or it could go all the other. But that's an interesting conference to me.
Yeah.
The one with the most pressure is just by a landslide. It's the ACC. They've played up to that level to make us put that pressure, and they've set the bar that high to have the pressure match the level of excellence they've had all year long from many of their teams.
Yeah, as the Clint Eastwood here at 120, get off my lawn, when we had all the defections from the old Big East to the ACC, when the Louisvilles and the Syracuses and the Pittsburghs and go on down the road, the Boston College, when they all left, I thought, the Big East is dead. It's dead.
Right. Just because it was totally made over.
Right, but it's not.
It's not at all.
And your point's well taken. They've actually filled the void of some of those schools quite nicely, with Villanova being a holdover of the original Big East, and now arguably being the best team in college basketball for 2 years. We'll find out if they can do it for a second straight year.
And there's teams they had that were in the conversation of being in that didn't get in. So, that's a good conference. It's one I'm very curious to see how they play in the Big East. But the ACC, we're going to all have our eyes on it. And if they don't perform well, it's going to be, what happened? I thought they were so
overrated.
Great. Best conference of all time. In any sport, any competition.
We didn't say that, but